Today we're at a station that's part of the original Central London Railway.
But it used to be called Post Office as it was so close to the headquarters of Royal Mail.
So where are we?
St
Paul's!
All right!
Greetings everybody, welcome to Series 5, Episode 4 of the Hidden London Hangouts. My name's Alex Gruns and welcome back from wherever you've been. We're still here, we're having a great old time. And today we're going to possibly the dirtiest station that I've ever gone with the guys. It was filthy in places, in the quiet, dank bits that we went and visited. Yep, it's St Paul's. Now, I don't do this alone. I've got three amazing people from the London Transport Museum to guide us through the dirt and have a laugh with us as well. I've got two with us tonight. First of all, Chris Nix from the London Transport Museum. How are you? Where are you, more to the point?
Yes, tonight I'm not in the broadcast bunker at home. I'm actually at the museum depot at Acton Town, and I'm in our small object store because, as you can see, there are a couple of small objects which relate to this evening's show. And isn't it nice to be doing a station which you can not only catch a train at, but you can also draw your pension?
Well, I quite like the fact that that small object is bigger than your head.
More of those later.
Marvellous stuff. And Laura Hilton-Brown, you're looking gorgeous as well.
Thanks, gorgeous. I'd just like to say, life of a film star there, Chris, just having to set up shop wherever you can. And I'm not being funny, Alex and I both agree that is a pretty good little setup you've got going there. Seems it's temporary.
I think it's fantastic. And can I just say, by the way, Laura, I've been meaning to say this for a good few weeks. I want to commend you on something. Your nails. Because I look, just show everyone your nails.
I genuinely thought you were going to be like, it's going to be something I'd said or something intellectual. Today they are pink and sparkly.
I have to say that I've become quite obsessed with bad nails because people paint them really badly or they've got dirt under their nails. And
Ooh.
Laura's nails are always absolutely on point. She looks wonderful week in, week out. So Laura, I commend your hands.
Thank you. I take that. I wouldn't say that they're particularly clean after a site visit or being underground tunnel grubbing with you guys. But hopefully most of the time there's a little bit of sparkle.
Absolutely gorgeous. Now, Chris is upstairs at the Acton Depot. Meanwhile, downstairs, what are you up to, Siddy?
Hey guys, I'm sorry I'm missing the hangout, but we are in the final week of filming for Secrets of the London Underground, and so I had to miss this one. But enjoy exploring around St Paul's. I miss you all dearly, and I will be back next week.
So she can't be with us on the recording today, but she came on the tour with us of St Paul's. An amazing station it was as well. As I say, one of the filthiest backstages I've ever been to, but really cool stuff. And we'll be able to unpack that as we go. Where we do this, we go and film it. But in the meantime, we have a little history lesson from our expert-in-chief, Chris Nix. So tell us, Chris, this is a station that's undergone name changes. It's undergone rebuilds, the lot, really.
Yes, indeed. Let's go right back to the start. This station opened on the 30th of July, 1900 as part of the Central London Railway, the Central Line as we know it today. It opened originally as Post Office rather than St Paul's. That was for a couple of reasons. One, it was right next to the headquarters of the Post Office at St Martin's le Grand. And secondly, the name St Paul's was already taken by the Southeastern station called Blackfriars today. In 1937, the name was changed to St Paul's because the name had changed to Blackfriars for the other station. It got a remodel in 1939 with escalators. And during the Second World War, it got used as a very special bomb-proof headquarters for the Central Electricity Board's bunker for the National Grid Control Centre for the southeast of England. In its form today, it's pretty much as it was when it was converted in 1939.
Yeah, incredible. All that time I was down there, I never saw a socket once, and yet the power was controlled for the country from there. Unbelievable. All I want to do is plug in my shaver. It was not allowed. Anyway, we've got some photographs to have a look at this, haven't we, Chris? And it's a very grand building, wasn't it?
We do. I'm going to start with one of the things in the background here, because I was going to use a photograph of this, and I thought, well, I'm in the place that's got one, so I might as well do it. We've talked in previous episodes, I'm just trying to think of one, for example, Whitechapel was one. We've talked about these silhouette diagrams of the underground before, and the reason I pulled this one out is because it's got St Paul's on it, and we've referenced this before. This one, rather than being an enamel, it's actually a backlit stained glass one, so rather nice and a good opportunity to get it out to share.
That's gorgeous. Can I just say, by the way, Laura, you'll remember this. Do you remember when those lovely London silhouettes were on Thames TV?
I don't think I do remember that, but I do love the silhouette. And I think whenever it's so iconic because of the collection of silhouettes in it. But St Paul's, I mean, it stands out massively, doesn't it, guys?
Absolutely glorious. Go on then, Chris. Hit us with some pics. Nick's pics.
So here's our first image, and this is the original post office station. And this is a photo from 1914.
It's glorious, isn't it? What a beautiful building, Law.
I know, I'm just literally leaning in to get a better look at it, because there's so much going on here, from the tube sign on the left to the gorgeous stonework down that front pillar of this corner building, the ironwork. What does it say in the lettering on that iron?
Drapkin, is it? AI Drapkin? Is that right, Chris?
Yeah.
Sorry. So just go up from there to the kind of bay window kind of style.
Crossley. Is it Crossley?
Yeah.
I know that name. Why do I know the name Crossley? Would you do a quick Google while we're on the thing here? Crossley.
Love it.
I'm sure it's a well-known company, Crossley.
I believe, isn't it a vehicle manufacturer?
Well, Crossley is also a record player. That's where I know it from.
I don't know.
Crossley. Oh, there's also chartered accountants called Crossley. It could be anything. Crossley Motors, could be Crossley record players. Could be anything in there.
Little quiz question for everyone.
And
if you look at the lamp at the top left-hand side, there's some beautiful metal kind of work going on above that as well. I just think there's so much loveliness in one shot.
And the other thing to note as well, Chris, is because the station was originally open with lifts and then had escalators installed, I'm assuming that is some way from the entrance now.
It is, yeah. So this is a lot further down Newgate Street. But don't worry, we have a poster for that, which is coming later. Good.
What else we got then?
So the station got a remodel and looked like that in 1931.
God, it looks like Breeze Block, doesn't it? That's so bizarre. And presumably that's architect Charles Holden's work.
Does have that air about it, doesn't it?
Yeah. What do you think, Law? I mean, it's in a funny sort of way. I mean, it does what it's got to do, but it does look a bit temporary.
Yeah. Did you know what? My brain also went to Breeze Block. So when you said it, I was quite pleased, because I didn't want to throw that.
Blame Alex. It's all right. Alex and his common answers.
We're on the same page. I do like the posters, obviously at kind of eye level on the way in. I think that would really draw your attention as you went into the station. And I really love the typeface that we have obviously in the Hidden London. Oh, can't really do that with my shoulder. In our Hidden London roundels on the underground signs with the large U and D. I do really, really enjoy those signs. I think they are really lovely. So they're pretty special for me. But yeah, I understand that kind of top section of the station is not that aesthetically pleasing.
It's bizarre. Really. It's just absolutely bizarre. And I do like as well, we talk about the big U and the big D, don't we, Law? But it's quite nice as well in stations where it's been brought back. I think it's Hyde Park Corner has got the big U and the big D at street level. And it just looks so fabulous these days, doesn't it?
Yeah,
everything else is becoming so modern.
Yeah, a very kind of vintage feel in a very contemporary setting. And I think the mix of that sometimes is so lovely when we get it right. And at the moment we are getting that super right, I think, on the network. So yeah, big thumbs up from me.
The other thing which I just noticed over to the side that's quite familiar, if you zoom in really closely and we just go over to the side, notice it's got a lion's refreshment sign, which was an utterly ubiquitous sight around railways in the British Isles in yesteryear. It was a place where you could go and get a cup of tea.
Well, previous episodes, we've talked about Laura and Siddy and me running a cafe at one of these stations, preferably a disused one. I think we could do this.
Well, I could have a slice of cake and a cup of tea now. Do you know what?
Right now, I could do with that. It's a late night recording tonight, and
it's been
really
a little bit cold, blustery, dark. Yeah, let's go get some cake after, boys.
Yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want. And of course, post office station, quite unique to unusual to many people who understand London, because of course it's not on the map anymore. It's called St Paul's. Then outside, Chris, when the work started, you see the hoardings. We've even got a photograph of that, haven't we?
We do. So this is the works to modify the station to have escalators. You can probably just see on the sign there on the hoarding. So post office station, and its new entrances in connection with the escalators that are being fitted. And this is the point at which the station walks down the road to its present position. And I did promise you a poster to help with that. You can see that blue roundel showing lifts to platforms in the top left of the diagram. And then you can see 2 new entrances in red for the platforms.
I just love it. And of course, you know, for anyone who's sitting there thinking, why do they move the entrances? Well, it's quite simple. They can't move the platforms, and lifts go straight up and down like that. Escalators have to go at an angle. So if you can't move the platform at the base, you have to move the entrance at street level. And that's why they all shifted down. Laura, as you're a poster queen, design queen, it's very straightforward, this one, isn't it? I mean, dare I say, it looks like a Friday afternoon model of a poster. There's no design in that.
I mean, it's got some colour pop going on, hasn't it? Does it remind me of a poster that we've shown about, was it King's Cross? Or there was another station recently. I'm so sorry, my memory is terrible. We've only done
Cross. Yeah.
Yeah. And they used a very, it was maybe. Yeah, they've used very similar, you know, the pop of the red to catch your eye, and then the blue contrasts with it really nicely. But yeah, does what it says on the tin, right?
Really glad they drew the map on graph paper as well. Always
well,
works,
you know, it helps.
It would certainly suit me drawing as well. And then, Chris, we've got the design of St Paul's Station, haven't we? The actual look of St Paul's.
So here it is, with it opened up, and you can see it's a very nice late 30s entrance to the station, the type of which we've seen before elsewhere. And
interestingly, the thing I love about that, now, could we call that, we've got a copse, haven't we? We've got what's that thing that sticks up in the station?
Totem.
Is that a totem?
Well, yeah, it's more of I would say it's more of a pole.
Because you tend to why does that make me laugh? I don't know. Isn't it interesting how you get that design like at Redbridge and stations like that are going out on the eastern part of the Central Line? I suppose all built at the same time.
Same era of design.
And I love the roundel with London Transport written in it. That's probably my personal favourite. If I was going to be having a look for any of them on eBay, I'd be probably wanting to buy that one. But don't worry, Museum Depot, I'm not going to have any light fingering going on here. So what do you think of that then, Law?
But to be honest, I'm not even looking at the totem, not totem. I'm looking at that lady's fabulous fur coat, and the chap behind in the bowler hat, just thinking how utterly smart this kind of era was, with the suits and all the kind of tailored fashion and coats. I just love it. And I genuinely want that coat.
It's gorgeous, isn't it? What do you think there, Chris? Anything that springs to mind there? The architecture, look at the Doric pillars there. Yeah,
I mainly just noticing that modernity of the design that's kicking in there with the naming of the station. This bullseye that's behind me, the bullseye roundel that's behind me, is co-branded as St Paul's, and still with the post office in brackets on it. And that's only a year before this shot here, when it's gone over to being called St Paul's.
One more picture then, and I do apologise, I'm just thinking about light fingering. I'm sure that's a verb, isn't it?
It is for you.
Common parlance. One more pic.
Of course, the other thing that happened in 1939 is that Britain entered the Second World War. And only a few years later, in 1943, the station had a little bit of late remodelling, shall we say, by some bomb damage, as this area was quite heavily bomb damaged. And here we can see the station looking a little bit knocked about.
It's remarkable as well, because you think about those iconic moments in World War II, and one of them was the efforts they went to preserve St Paul's Dome, which is literally just behind it. So the idea that the tube station got the couple of direct hits, it doesn't surprise me in the slightest, actually. Of course, that there is where we go now, isn't it, Chris? That is the location of where we would go into the station now.
Yeah, that's one of the entrances, yeah. Yeah.
Gorgeous. Well, I think it's really important that we get ourselves down there. So rubber gloves on, everybody, because we took a look into the station for a bit of a whiz round. Do you know, I love the way they always give me the wet wipes to carry.
You're
Why
so
do
good
I
at
get the
cleaning.
wet
That's
wipes?
why.
Such a good cleaner is why.
Scrubbing.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
We're on the westbound, train coming in, and there used to be a set of stairs just here to take to the lift.
So, what is behind there then?
So it used to be, basically the platforms here are stacked, one on top of the other, so the eastbound is below us. So the lifts would come down in between the two platforms, and this used to lead to the landing where the lifts are. So you'll see on the other side.
Cool. And the reason they're stacked here, whereas, say, on other lines, they run side by side, is this because of the way leave thing again?
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So it's just on the other side of this. So shall we go and have a look
Yeah,
inside?
let's have a little look.
Well, we have to go down to the eastbound for that.
Okay, cool.
Let's go.
Right then. In we go, Alex. You ready?
Yep.
It's very, very grimy in here.
Crikey. This is
Yeah, that's a tough
this is
door.
something else, isn't it?
There we go.
So when did this corridor become? Oh, blimey, hello. When did this become not in service?
Mask off.
When did it end up not being used from? Because this is
the
proper old,
19
isn't it?
So this is built in 1900 and closed in the 1930s when the station got escalators.
And all this is dirt.
Yeah. Now, you can see that some of the tiles over here, for example, are really clinging on for life. So stay away from those ones. Most of the ones on the ceiling are sound, so we'll only need those when we get to the stair bit. But you can see the backs of them have got a different kind of keystoning pattern
Yeah.
than some of the ones we've talked
Like
about
a
before.
lozenge.
I'm gonna risk it and pick up that
Oh,
one.
that's cool. Did you do this before? How
No,
did you know
I
that
only
was
just
loose?
saw it. I didn't
That's
realise it
amazing.
was.
And it
coming
actually, you can
apart.
see here, can't you? There's a good finger space.
Yeah, yeah.
This whole lot is loose, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's probably one to stay away from in case the whole lot decides to give up.
So just to say, that's going east. That platform there. Yeah.
That's right. Yes, that's the eastbound platform. So it's the one beneath the westbound.
And under normal circumstances, when this was first built, this would have been the only way to get to the lifts. This
That's
little
right. So
corridor.
from this platform, from the eastbound platform, you go up the stairs to the lifts, and from the westbound, you come down.
Oh, this is quite cool.
Yeah.
Let me have a look.
So let's come round the corner.
Siddles, this is amazing. I'm just looking at things on the wall. Amazing, amazing. Oh, that's what you mean.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Now you want to pop your
Yeah, this is what you need to-
cap on here just because it's a little low head height. If you want to go up there.
Can I?
So this is the recent, well, not even that recently, but all of this stuff here is from.
So they would have taken the old stairs away.
Yes, they did.
This is incredible, isn't it? I mean, oh my goodness, look at that, it's filthy.
Yeah, it is. It's really filthy.
You're going to need more than wet wipes on this. So all the way up here, and up here would have been the original westbound platform.
Yep.
Which is exactly what is behind that.
That's where we just
Gate.
stood.
Oh,
It
silly.
is-
You're not going to want this face mask back.
Oh, fudge.
Yeah.
This is,
I grabbed it as quick as I could, but
Siddles, it's filthy.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
I
Well,
mean,
we're
we've
in a
done some-
ventilation shaft, that's why.
Yeah.
And this is all because they were doing some track upgrade works a few years ago. So that's why this equipment and this conveyor belt is still here.
And this is called permanent way? Don't we used to call
Yeah,
this permanent way storage?
This was more about project at the station. So that so it's quite a big project that was done, but it is quite a while ago now since it was done. We can just see train. We were the other side of that earlier, and yes, hoist personnel. That's because the materials that were coming down this conveyor belt here were heading off down to the former lift shafts to be hoisted out to surface to be taken.
Can we go
away.
to the lift shaft?
We will see the lift shaft. Yes.
Sorry, I'm being very impatient.
No, not at all. But it's quite nice. You can see it's all lined with this signature white tiling still of the Central London Railway.
Now do be careful, because here's where you might bump
I'm
your
staggered
head.
by the dirt.
Yeah, it is one of the grimiest places I've been. Everything will need a wash tonight.
And you're right about the bump cap.
Yeah.
I've just bumped myself with the bump cap
Yeah.
on.
Yep,
It's
exactly
much
that
lower.
spot at the top.
It's
where it'll
much
get you.
lower than you think, isn't it?
It is. So basically, City, look at that. That's fantastic griming.
Oh, I need to take them off now actually, because
Yeah,
it's in my
do.
hair.
All right, babe.
So what we've got here is the confluence. We've got the coming together,
Yeah.
the two passageways, and then over there, where you can see those air conditioning units, that
The lift
is where the
shaft.
lifts and the spiral stairs are. So
Yep.
we'll go and have a look at those next.
These are the two lift shafts. Lifts here and here, and here and here.
So the red doors effectively were where the two lifts were, right?
That's it, yeah. So 4
And-
lifts in total.
So we've got those two there,
Yeah.
and this open one,
Yeah.
and another red one. Now, the open one is probably the one that you actually want to have a look at, because you can see up into the lift shaft.
Okay.
I'll need the torch for this. Because this was the bit.
Oh, blimey, look at that.
Yeah.
Right, hang on a minute. I need to take a photograph of that.
This was the bit that was converted by the Central Electricity Board. Okay.
That's pretty incredible. So it's not the deepest of drops, is it really? I suppose Chancery Lane, St Paul's,
Well-
neither of them particularly deep stations, are they?
Well, remember this has been converted into a bunker.
Yeah.
Oh, so there's something above that.
And that still, it's got a capping on top of it.
Right.
So you're not seeing the whole thing. And if you look part way down it, you can just see perhaps in the wall there's a slope shape, which was where there was some spiral stairs
Yeah.
and a doorway
Yeah.
just next to it. It's been filled in. And that's all evidence of that bunker conversion.
It's incredible, though. I mean, we say this wherever we go, don't we? It's just incredible the stuff that remains here. There's just locked up and just gathering dust, and yet it's all vestiges of the past. And what's down there? Because of course this is like a labyrinth back here. What's there?
It's just the circle around, basically, the way, passenger flow in order to come in off the lift one side and exit the other side. What's really interesting is the ceilings here are really high.
They are.
They're really high. I mean, remember when we were at Notting Hill Gate?
Tiny.
It felt very tiny. It's because
Yeah.
they'd filled in the floor there quite substantially, whereas this is much, much higher. So this is what the Central London Railway stations would have looked like back in the day. I mean, it's quite a... I mean, don't you just want to get like a water pressure
I want to clean it
washer?
up. Yeah, I want to certainly do with these gloves. So can we go down there? Can we have a look?
Let's
Yeah.
carry on.
Can I? Yeah, go on, after you. You're the tour guide. Go on, you do this.
Oh. So,
Do I need a vacuum cleaner?
That's
two, in
Henry
fact.
to you.
Yes.
So this is
Vent.
So this has been just cut into the fabric in order to provide a little bit more ventilation.
And this
Hence
wouldn't
why
have
it's so
been there
gri-
originally, no?
No. So this is why it's so grimy in here.
It's quite. Although we say it's tall, we get the impression that these are quite sort of cavernous stations in a way. It does still feel quite pokey, especially around here.
Well, I mean, this is only the second. Well, I mean, technically the third deep tube line.
Yeah.
So they're still figuring their way out around this.
But interestingly, there's something about the tile work. I'm always impressed by the neatness of the tile work. I mean, bearing in mind, back then there were far fewer tools to do this kind of work than there are now. And yet, somehow, it remains so neat.
Yeah. And this here, look, Another cutting into the fabric.
Oh, wow. Oh, now then. This is quite cool.
So there's a little extra bit that we'll have a look at later that's down there, but don't lean over. It's a bit of a drop, and we don't.
We're going to have a look
want
there in a minute, though, right?
surprise.
Okay.
So this is just for ventilating.
Down onto the platform. It's funny, isn't it? You suddenly see backstage at all these stations.
Do you know, I was thinking about these circles that they've
Yeah.
used as support. Normally on the underground, as soon as they go, oh, we're going to need a circle there, somebody goes, oh, while we're at it, we should put a bar and turn them into roundels.
Yeah.
But not here.
No. But again, it's just fascinating.
So round here, you can see the corridor carries on to the other side of the lifts. And so, yeah, we've just come around the back side of the lift. So this was the one that we were just staring up into on the other side.
Just imagine what people were wearing at the time when these lifts were in service. Then it must have been so dim, and yet people must have looked so smart back then. You know what I mean? Straight down onto the platform, onto the old tube trains. It's really fascinating. It's really fascinating. That there.
Well, you're going
more
to want to
lifts-
see it because it's probably the best surviving tiny bit of evidence that this was converted into a bunker, essentially a set of offices.
Okay.
And you know, there's kind of a trademark decoration that you see when it's been offices rather than a station. So let's go and have a look
Right, let's do
through
it.
there.
I can't begin to tell you, Laura, how filthy it was in those corridors. Honestly, it was disgustingly filthy.
I know, that was a super dusty tunnel, right? I mean, probably one of the dusty ones that I've seen. So kind of glad that I wasn't there a little bit. But it's not just a dusty tunnel, is it, guys? And what I love about these site visits and what you so eloquently picked apart there and like got through those layers of the confluence of the passageways, the highest ceilings, that lovely big lift shaft. I know you felt a little bit kind of claustrophobic at some places, Alex, where maybe it got quite narrow. And where Siddy said that they were kind of delving into that fabric and kind of building more ventilation into the kind of back of the station. So much going on there. But my favourite bit, hands down, is when, Alex, you turn to the right and you go, oh, hello there. And then you get your camera out and take a picture. And I just thought that was genius. Oh, well, what's going on here?
What's going on here then, Governor?
One thing you can say about the London is we do not fear a dirty passageway, because after all, it's where most of the interesting stuff is found.
It's totally right. And you know, funny enough, I don't know whether you'll get this, Laura and Chris, but I always think to myself, the Central London Railway, the white tiles that were always put up, and what we've just seen is Central London Railway tiles. They always remind me, with those arched roofs and very narrow passageways, remind me of Victorian sewers. Do you know, when you look at that kind of civil engineering stuff and the way it's all tiled so incredibly beautifully, always reminds me of a sewer law.
No, but I know what you're saying. It doesn't sound nice, but I know exactly what you're saying. And the signature tiling all the way through. I mean, how epic is that? Just such a shame that it's so dusty and we only saw tiny little snippets of it. But great that Chris got another keystone kind of pattern in there too. That was pretty exciting.
It was lovely.
Yeah,
and don't forget, this is
the railway one, have we? It was time.
No, and it's interesting because at that station, Law and Chris, you'll obviously see in a minute another generation of tiles, which are really quite cool and are still present on parts of the Central Line and parts of the old Bakerloo line as well. So of that era, it's all there. So we've got plenty more to come. Now, Chris, you mentioned when we just press pause on that, we were about to go into that wartime conversion. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, should we have a little bit of bunker chat? It's been a while. I feel we should get back into our natural surroundings and do some bunker work. So if you've already bought the Hidden London book, you will know that in I think it's the North End chapter, we pair it with St Paul's as another example of a bunker conversion. And we included a lovely diagram that's in our collection in there, a little bit like this one. And we should just unpack what we can see. Now, what we're looking at here is top right hand, you've got a plan view of the two lift shafts and the stair shaft originally either side of them. And in the center of the image here, we can see a sectional view of how they were converted into being a bunker. Now, you're probably thinking, because I've said wartime and bunker, that that was the reason that this was done. Actually, the impetus to create a hardened bunker to have as a control room was actually due to an act of domestic terrorism, I believe, before the Second World War, which meant that the control room for the southeast of England needed to be put in a protected space rather than at ground level. And St Paul's, because it had empty lift shafts, was chosen.
It's really quite remarkable. So if you can imagine what we are just walking round, Law, you can get an idea of this, is we came up on that top right-hand bit of that diagram, we came up those stairs and we saw that bit where Siddy and I were getting filthy. And then we've walked, if you like, around the perimeter of the two major lift shafts, and we're heading back now towards that top left circle, which was in itself another lift shaft. Am I right, Chris?
Yeah, so if I just zoom us in onto this. So we've basically walked, we've got the passageways at the bottom, we walked up the set of stairs, and then we went to the right and circled around, and we've now basically at the top passageway in that waiting to go into what's labelled as shaft number 1.
So we've been through shaft short 4, and we've gone round the back of the two other big lift shafts, and we're coming up to that top one. Does that make sense, Law, so far?
Yeah, I'm loving that. It totally makes sense for once.
Finally.
If I give you a little
No,
bit.
but normally I have no idea where we are. I just follow you.
We're
guys.
always, honestly, it's just hilarious. All I usually find out is that I've got filth all over my cheeks. That's my face cheeks, by the way.
I was about to say, as long as it's the face cheeks, then that's okay.
Very good.
Alex, you may remember in the film when I pointed the camera up the lift shaft, I pointed out that sort of spiral mark on the wall and said that was a set of stairs and that there was what looked like a filled-in doorway.
Yeah.
Well, if you look on the right-hand side of this diagram, about halfway up that right-hand lift shaft, can you see?
Yeah, I can. And that's where the stairs start.
Into the emergency stairs.
Oh, that's so cool. So we were looking up that right-hand shaft, the big one, and we just saw the start of that staircase, basically. Yeah. Blimey, this is incredible.
What these rooms were full of was electrical control equipment that was running the power stations and the central electricity grid for the whole of the southeast of England. Wow. And it was very handily situated because it was just over the river from what we now know as the Tate Modern, was of course Bankside Power Station. And there were lots of power stations in central London at the time, places like Battersea Power Station, for example.
Greenwich.
Locks Road. There were all of these stations along the river, and this was a handy place nearby. And so there was staff accommodation in there. There were meeting rooms, there were control rooms, there were teleprinter and communication rooms, all hidden away beneath the city streets in this hardened bunker.
Let's go back to the station and see what remnants of that remain.
Yeah, so it's a pretty compact site, right? And that's because they didn't have a lot of leeway upstairs to build a huge station. That's why the platforms are one on top of the other, because of wayleave, meaning that they had to build underneath the road because it was cheaper, it was free basically. Yeah. The road above used to be very narrow, so that's why they've done the configuration.
So it's the narrowness of the road that gives it away. Because I was trying to work out, you know, there are many parts of the tube system where that wayleave is an issue, but the platforms are side by side, presumably above wider roads. That's basically it, right? So interesting. See, we teach you as we go.
And because it's the City of London, and back in 1900, that would have been much more packed with all sorts of buildings, because it's one of the oldest parts of the city.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
There you
You two have a great double act. You two just keep swapping over the camera. This is brilliant. Nixie's on the camera. Oh, blimey, look at this.
So here we go.
That's a biggie.
It's a bit noisy. Yeah, we'll come to your fan shortly, but just have a look over here on the wall.
Colour.
So you can see we've seen this kind of thing before at other bunker conversions. You have a two-tone paint scheme, and the hint that it's an office they've put in a pinstripe.
Yeah.
It's an
Yeah.
extra bit of comfort.
Now, I've got a question for you. You know, invariably, a lot of these places, when buildings have been converted into offices, potentially for war, the railway executive would choose the colours. That's a bit like Great Western Railway's green, isn't it? It wouldn't have been the same thing, would it?
I think Cindy and I find it a bit more reminiscent of Brompton Road,
Yeah.
where it's a little bit more kind of army. This isn't army, it's
okay.
not military, but it's the difference here. Brompton Road has got cream and green,
Yeah.
but there's no
no
pinstripe because it's
pinstripe.
military.
Yeah.
Because this is an office, we've got a pinstripe.
Yeah.
How funny. And this would have been done just with a brush.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Skilled job, eh?
I love it. And all this curvy wall and all that
Well,
civils.
this is leading up to what would have been the stair shaft, the emergency stair shaft.
Right, the spiral.
The spiral, yeah. So this has now been, well, it's been removed, and there's a giant fan in here that's ventilating. Hence why it's so grimy.
Can we have a look?
Yeah.
How far in can we go?
Yeah,
Well, you can go all the way.
Well, what an offer. That's big, isn't it?
So this is, the stair shaft. So if you come and have a look. And what's interesting, even here, you see the paint.
Yeah.
But that's because that would lead off into the converted lift shaft that is through there. Now that's been bricked
So that's
up.
that's why it's such rough brickwork.
Yeah, well, this looks like it's been built from the other side because they've not
Yeah.
kind of troweled the mortar into a proper line. So this is quite a crude backfill that's been done.
Yeah.
Even so, this is really fascinating, and that's an enormous fan, isn't it?
It is. I mean, that's
one of our
that's
biggest
as big
fans.
as some of our fans.
Yes.
A railway
It's
executive.
a Patreon,
fan.
isn't it?
Yeah.
That is.
But this fan feeds air out of the building, and you can see it's into a kind of a sealed surround there. So
Yeah.
it's not nasty and dusty for us to
I was
be
going to
here.
say, why am I not feeling the suck?
It's because we're in a chamber,
Right.
and so we're not in the airflow here.
Right.
The air's been drawn up from below, and it's been pushed up out, so we're not in the flow of it. So, Mr. Gwendon, you've been carrying your wipes around.
Yes.
I feel it's time that you actually put you to work on something. And these towels, as you can see, could do with a bit of a shine. So
How
let's
many
see.
do you want me to clean up? There's
Well-
quite a lot, Sybil's.
You're going to find it's quite a hard job. So
Why
pick
is
one
it
that's
so
fairly clean?
Well, I was going to say, why is it that it's so hard? This is paint, isn't it?
Keep it.
This
It's,
is-
it's just grime. It's just grime.
No, this ain't coming off very
Say.
easily. What are you doing to me? This is not. I'm really working hard, by the way. But
It goes to show just how ingrained it is. But you are winning. You're just getting a bit of moisture into the.
is it really just dirt? It's
Yeah,
not like
it's
oil-based
just
paint.
I mean, you can see you've got it.
If
much
you
more
tried it on
legible.
one of the dirtier ones, for example, you work a little hard and then it does start coming off.
You're quite a slave driver, Sydney.
I
I'm not
know.
coming round your house to do the cleaning.
Let's hope my house isn't this dirty.
So when we come back for season 6, Alex will have finished this part of the station.
End of part 1.
And we'll show you what it
End of
looks
part
like.
1. It's. Oh, hang on.
Oh, he's found an easy bit now.
Oh, look at that. Oh, that's disgusting. White though. Underneath.
Oh,
It's
making
got
it
worse.
Making it worse. There you go.
Pretty cool though, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's one last bit which I think we should have a look at as we head back out into the lift passageway. So through the doors behind you. Oh, we're stuck. There we go. Right. So we've looped around the lift shaft via the stairs, and
Crikey.
of course, when you come out of lifts, what does any railway company want to do but sell you stuff through
Yeah.
advertising? And if you have a look over there,
There's a poster.
tiny fragments remain.
What is it?
I can't quite work it
IN.
out.
Lin. No, I don't know.
So there's an E there. Is that a W? No.
I don't know.
So
That's really so straight out the lifts, and they go. But you'd expect. What's that there?
well, I think that says rail. It's something rail.
Central
surely.
Railway.
Could be. Oh yes, could be.
Central Railway.
Yeah.
No, it's got an N at the end of the.
Oh, it's N.
Okay. But you can see there's some more over here. See,
Wow,
again,
that's
did that
really
say
nice.
railway? And here, you know how we've talked before about the letters to identify what type of
Yep.
posters, the S's,
Yep.
the F. Well, here we've got poster numbers.
24.
Yeah.
We have those today on the underground too.
Yeah.
Yeah, another one there.
Yeah, that's right.
Perhaps.
And if you look along, there's one more just over there.
Two.
Oh, two more.
2 and 11.
They didn't know which order the numbers came in, did they?
They didn't, but
And there's a 12 over there too.
who'd think all this stuff would just sit here? I suppose, why would you take it away?
That's it.
know?
Unless there's a reason to take it down, it survives.
Wouldn't you want to take this bit of plywood away and see what else remains under
Yeah,
there?
burn it.
Yeah.
I think at home. But I love the fact that the posters still exist. I love the fact that what's really interesting as well, as you say, is in the Leslie Green stations, we used to have the general, foreign, and GF and station poster sites. Numbers here. Is there anything else knocking around?
Well,
this is where the lifts were,
unfortunately,
isn't
it's
it?
been breeze blocked, and I did look there. But of course, you would expect the posters to be facing the lifts. So, do you know what? I'm going to stick on a pair of gloves, and if you wouldn't mind, if you've got a spare hand for
Would
that.
you like a wet wipe?
I'd love a wet wipe, but not just at the moment.
Not right.
I'm going to need one in a second. That's caked in dust, so let's be careful. And may I have the torch?
Yeah.
Let's have a
What
look.
are you doing? Are you going to have a little
No, I
look?
was just having a look to see if there's
Nothing.
Always worth a check, but nothing more.
Nothing under there.
This is an average
I'll hand
day
you
for
that
us.
back.
It really is just an average day for us, having a root round in the dirt. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. What an interesting little find. And look at even the tile work up there, Nixie. I'm sure you'll appreciate that. That's
great.
very, very neat, isn't it?
That'll be a lot of hard work.
It really
Can you imagine
would.
doing that without a tile saw?
No, I wouldn't want to do that, but that's fascinating. Narrow lifts, though, really.
Yeah.
Quite narrow, really,
Yeah.
by comparison to.
Again, early
Yes, we
railways, they tended to do things that little bit smaller, although they've gone for very high ceilings, as Sidney said earlier. And there
Really
we go.
interesting.
So
Really cool. Thank you,
that's
guys.
St. Paul's.
See more muck, Laura, but this time it was different because in the old Leslie Green stations, those lovely oxblood red stations, we used to see the station S, foreign for external, and then general tube posters, S, F, and G, stenciled on the walls to say where those posters go. In that station, there were numbers, poster site numbers on little tags. So everything's a bit different, Laura.
Yeah, that was a really nice clip. I love that overarching kind of memory or nod to times gone by and kind of how things began with the lovely signature tiles all the way through. And then that kind of, we always love these, that kind of little moment of museum capsule with the fragments of poster. So much going on there. So that was really good.
And isn't it interesting as well, because you both know the site so well, like Down Street and now this one. I'm always fascinated by the fact that these were converted from tube stations to be offices during the war, and yet attention was paid to the paint on the walls, so it looked nice. And I don't know, in my mind's eye, I'm thinking, why would you bother to go to those lengths? But I suppose these were very well-paid civil servants who expected a certain level of comfort, Chris, from their surroundings.
I think the thing is, when you go and visit these places for half an hour and enjoy them like we do, and then go out again, that's one thing. You imagine that's your working life. A little bit of, comfort by, having the walls painted so it doesn't look quite so much like a tube station, I think is a kind of a minimum requirement really to have part of that conversion. So yeah, I think that's it. People are working in those spaces at night, during the day. So, it's really important to at least decorate them a little bit. Now, speaking of decoration, we didn't get very much in the way of poster on the station itself, but we do have a couple of posters in the collection, which are absolutely cracking. Do you want to have a look?
Yes, please, Laura. Pin back
Absolutely.
rivals.
So I think somebody made a reference to Brompton Road when you were walking through the initial section. And I'm really glad you did, because that green totally reminded me of our site visit to Brompton Road. And I love that little detail of the pinstripe. It's just detail that adds to people's everyday kind of life when underground, when these bunkers are being made and spaces are being converted. And then the fan reminded me of our Euston tour, or part of our Euston tour, which we now can't do because of the HS2 kind of build that's going on. But the noise of the fan and the size of it, we used to be able to take our guests into part of the fan room at Euston on Melton Street. And so that really reminded me of that as well. And there's a lovely little bit on our Down Street tour where we talk about Churchill spending time down at Down Street, and there's a particular reference to St Paul's, and I guess anybody that's been on the tour will know what that is. So notes, send it in if you've been on the tour and you know what I'm referring to.
I'm loving it. And what a beautiful link straight into St Paul's, because look at the screen. We have such a beautiful place. I mean, you know, ordinarily, I look to Laura for the interpretation of the potential artistry of this stuff, but it stares you in the face, doesn't it, Laura? It's beautiful.
I'm really glad that we've chosen to put this poster in. I mean, how could you not when we're doing St Paul's? But this was one of a series of 6 posters that were commissioned by London Transport in 1944. And what I love about this poster is that for me, the artwork is kind of punchy and delicate at the same time, which is not easy to do in a poster. And it's particularly hard-hitting because I think it's about the survival of London and Londoners through the Blitz. And so you've got the crumbling kind of section of debris, war-torn, kind of war-ravaged buildings, but then St Paul's in its entirety in the background with the lovely blue and wisp of cloud. You know, we got through this, we did this. And I think the most important thing is that there is a quote on each one of these 6 posters, and it's by a noted kind of British historian or poet. And it's the combination of visual and the quote that was to build morale across London. And I think for me, that's so hard-hitting and so soft at the same time. That's why I love this poster.
It's glorious. It's, I mean, the principal ornament of our royal city. What a great way to describe it. And I can't remember whether I've ever mentioned this, but I mean, when I was doing geography as a degree at King's College London years ago, I can remember as really noticing how the skyline of London's changed. In the old days, many, many years ago, St Paul's brooded over the city because religion was such an important part of everyday life. And I'm sure during even World War II, people looked to religion to be a source of strength. These days, the biggest, tallest buildings in London are to do with money generally. And it feels in a way like money is the new god these days, but it's a fascinating change. And as you said, all that rubble around St Paul's in that photo, in that picture there, it really, really hammers home how much that building was preserved during World War II, doesn't it, Chris?
Yeah, and these series of posters that were by Walter Spradbury, they all have this vibe to them of a landmark that's recognisable in a sea of ruins, but surviving and giving that sense of hope for the future. They were so important, these, that they actually were produced in a number of different languages and exported around the world as to other places within the former British Empire, to send out this message in 1944 that there is hope and we will rebuild. So yeah, you will find these, for example, there's one of these in Arabic and in our collection as well. So they really are rather tremendous posters, I think, these.
Absolutely wonderful. You've got another one as well, Chris.
So this next one, I think is really rather bright. It's part of City Gardens and St Paul's in the background, and this is by an artist called Paul Anthony. This one is from 1948. So this is the realization, I guess, of that promise from the Walter Spradbury poster that London did rebuild and did go back to a stage of normality.
It's glorious, Law, this one. I mean, these are 2 posters that I would willingly have in my collection on the wall.
Yeah, I could totally see you two having these 2. I think this poster is a lovely progression, like Chris said, of the previous one. It depicts growth and development and survival. And I think the lovely use of the colour and the plants starting to grow back is just survival, like to a T. So I really love them both as well.
Gorgeous stuff. So a couple of nice posters for you. And we've got one other little secret from that station that we discovered in a cupboard. It's that simple, but it shows the difference between St Paul's or post office then and St Paul's in the interim before it came St Paul's now. Have a look at this. So
here we go, a last little bit of extra specialness hidden in this cupboard, which is the secondary way out from where we've just been. And if we look in there and just give it a bit of light,
look at them.
we can
everywhere.
see the surviving stabler tiles from when this station had a facelift, courtesy of Mr. Holden.
Look at them. I mean, they are beautiful, aren't they? And this was the colour scheme, wasn't it? It's the cream tile and the blue boundary.
The blue and biscuit that we've seen in places like Knightsbridge. And what I think is great about these tiles is the dirtier they are, the better you can see the relief pattern.
Totally. Isn't it lovely that that is here at St Paul's as well? The appropriateness of it.
I've never seen these before. Personally, it's they were photographed for the Hidden London book, weren't they, Siddy? But I didn't get to see them then.
It's remarkable. And this is just in a dirty little cupboard in the middle of a tube station. You find these amazing vestiges of the past. It's so sweet. It's so nice it's still there, though, isn't it?
So
Do you want a cup of tea? I've got a tap here.
I'm not having it out of there. Well, that's everything. All
Amazing.
done.
What a lovely little station. What a lovely station. Nice
Back to
one.
the studio.
So, whilst we're watching that, I have donned the Marcel Moyot glove. Not because I'm doing Glassbox, but because I'm in the small object store, and that's where we keep the precious things like this.
If he drops it now, honestly.
Yeah, indeed. I'll wreck my laptop if I do. But this is one of the ones which came off the wall, and you can see, if I do that, you can see the relief of the tile.
Imagine though, Law, I mean, we literally open a cupboard door and you've got St Paul's Cathedral at St Paul's Station. We've got 55 Broadway, the headquarters of London Transport as it was. And then we had the Houses of Parliament in 3D relief on tiles. It was incredible.
I take it all back, guys. I take my rash comment at the beginning, which I regret now fully, about, it was too dusty a site visit for me. I take it all back. You got the Stabler tiles. You got the textured, lovely tiles. In fact, you have to take me just to that little cupboard as soon as you can, because that was, what a way to finish. They were beautiful. If I could have anything in my house, they would be it. And maybe some other tiles too, but they would definitely be in it.
We've been so lucky with tiles though through the series, because we see so many different types of fabulous remnants of history. And this was something else, because in that station, as I said before, you've got the original ones from 1900, but then you've got these other ones that we still see in sort of odd places on the underground, thanks to this guy Harold Stabler who designed them. I just think they're absolutely beautiful. It's so cool, Chris, that you put the gloves on to show us that as well. The tiles are thick, aren't they?
They are.
They are,
Bring it
yeah.
back into shot so that people can actually see what we're talking about. But yeah, look at that. And I know that everybody is sitting there shouting at the TV. That's great. Look at the front. It's very pretty. But what's the back like? We always talk about the backs of the tiles. Are you ready to see the keystoning?
Yeah, go on.
Whoop.
All they did was score the back.
Oh,
They're like the ones you put on the wall now.
I guess that's why it came off so cleanly without shattering, perhaps. But there we go. Beautiful tile. Glad we could share it.
I
Chris,
absolutely love that.
humour me when you've put the tile down and just do like your little mime
could you?
artist. just
Okay.
while you've got the gloves on.
Laura, just for you. Here we go. And finally, should we do pulling rope?
It's like Kenny Everett, isn't it? Do you
It's
remember the
brilliant.
Kenny Everett bits?
This is
I've
brilliant.
got to do, hang on a moment, I've got to do the walking out of shot pulling rope, haven't I?
On his little wheeled chair.
I love it. I love the fact he looks like he's sitting between two filing cabinets on the floor.
We've officially lost it. Should we do NQQ?
We really should, shouldn't we? Do you know what? So many lovely, lovely notes have come through. If you look at the episodes we've done so far in just series 5, there are oodles and oodles of comments from you guys. It is wonderful. And the other thing, we cannot believe the numbers as well. We literally sit and watch how many of you watch it in one day. And we were up to 5,000 views on the Canary Wharf episode, which was just incredible. We are so grateful. And interestingly, on the Canary Wharf episode, there was a lovely message from Jen. And she said, it's always the little moments that touch me the most in these Hangouts. When you made Lou feel so comfortable and safe. Remember Lou, the guy who works at Canary Wharf? Lovely. He was also working at Paddington when we visited. When you made Lou feel so comfortable and safe enough to confess that he'd loved London transport since his Thomas the Tank Engine days, I went warm all over. There are a million videos about the Underground, but only one which shows is so heartfelt and richly human. Gorgeous episode. Thank you very much. It was good fun, wasn't it? And it was so nice to see Lou on air as well.
It very much was. Yeah, it was a fab day out at Canary Wharf.
Really, really enjoyed that. Other things as well that happened out of the blue. I got a follow on Instagram from someone who was my friend at primary school. Now, I was bullied horribly at school, didn't like it at all. But there were a couple of people in my class who I really liked, but I kind of gave up on being in touch with kids at school because it was all just sad. But this particular guy, Jonathan, he followed me as a result of seeing me on the Hidden London Hangouts because YouTube just served it up. And he said, it was so funny because he said, the other month I went for a walk past your old house where you grew up as a kid and mentioned to my daughter that my friend Alex used to live there at the house and wondered what you were doing now. And then you ended up on YouTube, which is kind of freaky, right, Laura?
It is. And do you know what? My kids think it's great that I'm on YouTube because in their world, it's such a big platform. And it's a thing, you know, how many subscribers have you got or how many likes have you got? And I guess I don't understand this world very much, but I love that your friend has told his daughter and she gets it, like YouTube is a thing, like Alex is on it.
It's so kind of crazy. And then something else crazy happened. Chris, show us a picture because I'm sat on a train on Saturday morning, minding my own business. I was actually on my way to see the Fabergé eggs at the Victoria and Albert Museum. And this gentleman here, Andrew, said, you're not the guy off the Hidden London Hangouts, are you? And
I love that.
Yes. And I did that whole embarrassed delight thing again, which was really, really cool. I was so delighted. So that's Andrew. Say hello to Andrew.
Hello
Hi,
to Andrew.
Absolutely adorable. I got another photograph as well sent to the team. This was from Sam. He says, Sundays watching you guys whilst cooking breakfast. What better way to end the week? Which I think is absolutely fantastic. So that's Sam's kitchen with a little bit of us in the corner. Lisa says,
cozy.
What's that? Sorry,
is that a tea cozy next?
It's a dog cozy.
A dog cozy, right?
And as long as it's not an adapter cozy that's poking out the wall, we're all right. Don't want a fire in the house. Lisa Wilson noticed the if I see buttons, I have to push them. Says, stay youthful, Peter Pan. We do have a laugh on these, though, don't we, Chris?
We do, and I've learned to keep you away from the dangerous buttons.
Yeah, it's probably best, isn't it, really? So we've got some really, really lovely comments. We'll come back to those again another episode as well. But honestly, as always, thank you so much to Siddy. I know she's downstairs at the moment filming for the forthcoming series of Secrets of the London Underground, series 2, which is on telly soon. But in the meantime, thank you. Laura, as always, thank you so much just for your interpretation of everything brilliant and fabulous. And you didn't have to muck your beautiful nails.
True that. And thank you for going down there and getting dusty. Sorry I missed this one again. I mean, between the four of us, our schedules are possibly the most off the scale busy they've ever been throughout this whole process. And it's so hard to get all four of us or even three of us in the same place at the same time. So it is tricky. We're working so hard to make it happen. And hopefully when things ease up a little bit with, you know, the film stars, then we'll be able to do that. But it was so hard to get down there. I wish I had been able to just for the tiles, but maybe soon, hopefully soon. But thank you guys for going and just unpeeling that lovely story of kind of conversion and regeneration and development. It's always such a joy.
I tell you what we'll do, just because there's a really lovely bar that overlooks St. Paul's Dome in that shopping centre thing at the top. I'll take you in there and maybe we can get Chris to get us into that cupboard just before we go up for a drink. That'd be rather lovely because it's...
I mean, Alex... a cupboard and a drink. I mean, I'm there.
You know the treat, people.
Yeah, me in a closet. It's an old gag, but there we go. And Chris Nix, as always, thank you so much, as always, for just being brilliant.
Well, thank you. It's been a really fun one tonight, and I really like St. Paul's and its interesting stories. The only thing is now I've got to go and put all the toys away.
Oh, they look amazing though, Chris. If you could do that every week, honestly. Although I have to say, I don't know how your nerves would handle all those fragile things being shifted around the museum to make the props.
Part of the job. Part of the
Oh,
job.
it's amazing. Thank you. Well, look, thank you so much, as always, for watching. You found us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and comment down below with the things that you comment about the episodes, but also places you'd like us to go next. Always nice to hear some compliments as well. It's always nice to buoy the team. And also on Instagram, find us, Alex Grunden, Chris Nix, City Holloway, Hidden London Law, and at LT Museum. Find us, follow us, and enjoy the stuff we stick out there. And we'll be back in a really cool place next week. In the meantime, have yourself a great day and stay safe.